Phishing attacks. We're all going to have to change how we think about protection. The learning objectives for this course: what is phishing? Phishing techniques, email phishing, spear phishing, whaling, how to prevent whaling, how to prevent phishing, and key takeaways. What is phishing? Well, phishing is a type of social engineering attack often used to steal user data, including login credentials and credit card numbers. It occurs when an attacker, masquerading as a trusted entity, dupes a victim into opening an email, instant message, or text message. The recipient is then tricked into clicking a malicious link, which can lead to the installation of malware, the freezing of the system as part of a ransomware attack, or the revealing of sensitive information. Phishing is often used to gain a foothold in corporate or governmental networks as a part of a larger attack, such as an advanced persistent threat or APT event. Employees are compromised in order to bypass security perimeters, distribute malware inside a closed environment, or gain privileged access to secure data. There are 5 common types of phishing: email phishing, spear phishing, clone phishing, whaling, and pop-up phishing. Phishing techniques. The attackers spoof their email address, so it looks like it's coming from someone else. They may also set up fake websites that look like ones the victim trusts, and use foreign character sets to disguise URLs. The attackers will go to great lengths in designing phishing messages to mimic actual emails from a spoofed organization by using the same phrasing, typefaces, logos, and signatures, which all make the messages appear legitimate. In addition, attackers will usually try to push users into action by creating a sense of urgency. For example, an email could threaten account expiration and place the recipient on a timer. Applying such pressure causes the user to be less diligent and more prone to error. Links inside messages resemble their legitimate counterparts, but typically have a misspelled domain name or extra subdomains. For example, the myuniversity.edu/renewal URL was changed to myuniversity.edurenewal.com. Similarities between these 2 addresses offer the impression of a secure link, making the recipient less aware that an attack is taking place. Spear phishing targets a specific person or enterprise as opposed to random application users. It's a more in-depth version of phishing that requires special knowledge about an organization, including its power structure. Here's how an attack might play out. First, a perpetrator researches names of employees within an organization's marketing department and gains access to the latest project invoices. Posing as the marketing director, the attacker emails a departmental project manager using a subject line that reads, "Updated invoice for Q3 campaigns." The text, style, and included logo duplicate the organization's standard email template. A link in the email redirects to a password-protected internal document, which is in actuality a spoofed version of a stolen invoice. The project manager is requested to log in to view the document. The attacker steals his credentials, gaining full access to sensitive areas within the organization's network. Whaling, also known as whale phishing, is a form of spear phishing aimed at the very big fish, CEOs or other high-value targets. Many of these scams target company board members who are considered particularly vulnerable. They have a great deal of authority within a company, but since they aren't full-time employees, they often use personal email addresses for business-related correspondence, which doesn't have the protections offered by corporate email. Gathering enough information to trick a really high-value target might take time, but it can have a surprisingly high payoff. In 2008, cybercriminals targeted corporate CEOs with emails that claimed to have FBI subpoenas attached. In fact, they downloaded keyloggers onto the executives' computers, and the scammer's success rate was 10%, snagging almost 2,000 victims. There are some things you can do to help prevent a whaling attack. The goal of a whaling attack is to trick an individual into disclosing personal or corporate information through social engineering, email spoofing, and content spoofing efforts. The attackers may send the victim an email that appears to be from a trusted source. Some whaling campaigns include a customized malicious website that has been created especially for the attack. Whaling attack emails and websites are highly customized and personalized, and they often incorporate the target's name, job title, or other relevant information gleaned from a variety of sources. This level of personalization makes it difficult to detect a whaling attack. Whaling attacks often depend on social engineering techniques, as attackers will send hyperlinks or attachments to infect their victims with malware or to solicit sensitive information. These cyber attacks can fool victims because attackers are willing to spend more time and effort constructing them due to their potentially high returns. Attackers often use social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, to gather personal information about their victim to make the whaling phishing attack more plausible. Here are 5 tips for avoiding a whaling attack. First, educate employees about whaling attacks and how to identify phishing emails. Second, flag all emails that come from outside of the organization. Third, discuss the use of social media with the executive team as it relates to whale phishing. Fourth, establish a multi-step verification process for all requests for sensitive data or wire transfers. Fifth, exercise data protection and data security policies. Let's talk some more about how to prevent phishing. Phishing attack protection requires steps be taken by both users and enterprises. A spoofed message often contains subtle mistakes that expose its true identity. These can include spelling mistakes or changes to domain names, as seen in the earlier URL example. Users should stop and think about why they're even receiving such an email. Two-factor authentication, or 2FA, is the most effective method for countering phishing attacks, as it adds an extra verification layer when logging into sensitive applications. 2FA relies on users having 2 things: something they know, such as a password and username, and something they have, like a smartphone. Even when employees are compromised, 2FA prevents the use of their compromised credentials, since these alone are insufficient to gain entry. So, keep your computer security up to date, take frequent backups, change compromised passwords right away and don't use them for any other accounts, and consider multi-factor authentication. In addition to using 2FA, organizations should enforce strict password management policies. For example, employees should be required to frequently change their passwords and to not be allowed to reuse a password for multiple applications. Educational campaigns can also help diminish the threat of phishing attacks by enforcing secure practices, like not clicking on external email links. Always check the spelling of the URLs and email links before you click or enter sensitive information. And watch out for URL redirects, where you're subtly sent to a different website with identical design. If you do receive an email from a source you know, but it seems suspicious, contact that source with a new email rather than just hitting reply. Let's review the key takeaways. Phishing is an example of social engineering techniques used to deceive users. Users are lured by communications purporting to be from trusted parties, such as social networking websites, auction sites, banks, or messages from friends or colleagues, online payment systems, or IT administrators. Attempts to deal with phishing incidents include legislation, user training, public awareness, and technical security measures. A wide range of technical approaches are available to prevent phishing attacks reaching users or to prevent them from successfully capturing sensitive information. Specialized spam filters can reduce the number of phishing emails that reach the addresses' inboxes. Organizations that prioritize security over convenience can require users of its computers to use an email client that redacts URLs from email messages, thus making it impossible for the reader of the email to click on a link or even copy a URL. Now let's take a quiz to test your knowledge. You get a text message from a vendor who asks you to click on a link to renew your password so that you can log into its website. What should you do? True or false? Email authentication can help protect against a phishing attack. If you fall for a phishing scam, what should you do to limit the damage? An email from your boss asks for the name, addresses, and credit card information of the company's top clients. The email says it's urgent and to please reply right away. You should reply right away. True or false? You get a text message from a vendor who asks you to click on a link to renew your password so that you can log into its website. What should you do? Which of the following is considered as the unsolicited commercial email? True or false? You should never be suspicious of emails that ask for your personal information. True or false? Phishing scams come in the form of emails from banks and credit card companies. Phishing takes place using training and education of end users can be used to prevent Thank you.